let's dive into something a little different today.
Different, how so?
Well, we're looking at 100 Ways to Photography. This book by Meng Foo Choo.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
The catch: no photographs.
Wait, what? A photography book with no photos?
Yep, you heard that right.
Except for the cover, you said.
Just the cover, that's it.
So it's all about, what, the ideas behind the pictures?
Exactly, exploring the art through words.
That's pretty bold. Gotta give him that.
Right. Like, every photography book you see is full of stunning visuals.
Makes you wonder what she was trying to say.
Like maybe he's saying there's more to it than just the images?
More to understanding it. Yeah, beyond just the technical stuff.
It's like he wants us to slow down.
Really think about the process.
Yeah, the mindset behind a great shot.
Instead of getting lost in megapixels and all that.
Now, Choo's background is interesting here.
How so?
Started as a novelist, actually.
No kidding.
Had this whole online persona as insect hunter on Flickr.
Insect hunter? What is he, like a bug photographer?
Yeah, all these incredible photos of tiny creatures.
Interesting.
Calls himself a Renaissance man.
Always learning, huh?
Exactly. Always exploring different creative things.
So not just a photographer, then?
Writer, observer, someone who sees the world differently, clearly.
And that's what we're getting at here, right?
Right. How can this book, just text and all, help us see and capture the world in new ways?
I'll admit, I was skeptical at first.
I hear ya.
But one thing that struck me was how Choo talks about sensibility, courage, and humility.
As a photographer.
Yeah, like it's not just about the camera settings.
He's talking about, like, a way of being in the world.
Exactly. It's deeper than just technical skills, you know?
So developing awareness of ourselves and what's around us.
That's it. And honestly, that's what makes this book relevant today.
Even with all the fast-paced, image-saturated stuff we're bombarded with.
Especially with all that, Choo's ideas are almost like a framework.
Not just for better pictures, but for engaging with the world more mindfully.
Exactly, more meaningfully, too.
Okay, let's get into some of the chapters that show this approach.
Sounds good.
Chapter 11, Bonding with Your Camera, stood out to me.
What's he say there?
He talks about this, like, almost spiritual connection with his camera.
Spiritual?
Yeah, even calls it she, and says to make sure she is sparkling clean before a shoot.
Huh. Bit much, isn't it?
I thought so, too, at first.
But maybe he's got a point.
Like what?
Well, becoming really familiar with your camera
Knowing its quirks and limits.
could lead to a more, I don't know, fulfilling experience.
Like he's saying, don't just treat it like a tool.
Right. More like an extension of how you see the world.
Which leads perfectly into Chapter 14, Steal the Moment.
Ooh, I like that title.
Choo digs into capturing those fleeting moments, you know.
The ones that are gone in a flash.
He even analyzes that tiny lag.
Between seeing something and actually pressing the button.
Yeah, and he describes the camera's mechanics, too.
Showing how tough it is to sync up with the camera.
But how do we actually beat that lag, does he say?
He suggests practicing anticipation.
Becoming more attuned to the rhythm of the moment.
Like a dancer or musician, even.
Training your eye and reflexes to work together.
Ready for that perfect shot.
I love that. Okay, what else stood out to you?
Chapter 16, Focus and Obliterate, really resonated.
Obliterate. Sounds intense.
It's about simplifying the background to make your subject pop.
Ah, I get it, like decluttering the image.
Exactly. And he has this great analogy.
What's that?
Stars need darkness to shine.
Ooh, I like that. So choosing what to include and exclude in the frame.
It's about visual hierarchy, really.
Making sure the viewer's eye goes where you want it to.
And it's not just about pretty pictures.
It's about understanding how to tell a story visually.
Right, being deliberate with what you show.
So many of us try to cram everything in when we're starting out.
Especially when you're excited about a scene.
You want to capture it all.
But it can dilute the impact.
Choo's advice is all about being more discerning.
Making choices that support your story.
Okay, so we've got bonding with the camera, stealing the moment, and focusing with intention.
What a journey.
What's next on this path of photographic wisdom?
Get ready for this one. Escape from the camera.
Wait, escape from it? How do you take pictures if you're escaping the camera?
That's what I thought too.
Sounds contradictory.
He actually means spending time visualizing photos.
Without even touching the camera.
Yep, just using your mind's eye.
Interesting.
He talks about feeling trapped by his camera at one point.
And stepping away helped him see more clearly.
More photographically, yeah.
So training your mind to see potential pictures everywhere.
Even when you're not actively shooting.
Developing that inner vision, huh?
It's about noticing light, composition, moments of beauty all around.
Powerful stuff.
Yeah.
All right, last one for this part.
Lay it on me.
Chapter 98, Dead and Awaken.
Whoa, that sounds heavy.
Choo talks about a near-death experience
Seriously?
and how it completely changed his view of photography and life.
That's intense.
It shows how personal experiences can shape our artistic vision, right?
Absolutely. He describes feeling his senses heightened afterward.
More aware of life's fragility, you mean?
Yeah, and the preciousness of it.
So bringing that awareness, that sense of wonder, into his photography.
Exactly. Now, I'm not saying we all need near-death experiences,
Of course not.
but it's a reminder that challenging things can change how we see the world.
And how we capture it, too.
This is some deep stuff, I gotta admit.
It's clear Choo's approach is as much about personal growth as technical stuff.
We've only just scratched the surface here, though.
There's so much more to unpack.
Like, how do these ideas apply to photography in the digital age?
How do we find our own voice in a world flooded with images?
That's what we'll be diving into next. You know, it's funny
What's that?
how relevant Chu's ideas are now.
Even though the book's a bit older.
Yeah, I mean, he wrote it before smartphones and all that.
Before everyone had a camera in their pocket.
And social media, all those images
Yeah.
constantly flooding us.
It's like he saw it coming, in a way.
Maybe. So how do we make sense of it all then?
Right. How do we find our own voice amidst all that visual chaos?
Well, there's this chapter 76, I think.
Okay.
He talks about photographing those who want to be photographed.
Interesting.
Sounds simple, but it makes you think
About what?
about being mindful, respectful, in a world where everyone's snapping pics all the time.
Yeah, easy to just point and shoot without really thinking.
Exactly, especially with everything being shared online now,
Makes you consider the person on the other side of the lens.
and how you're portraying them.
Ties back into that humility True talks about.
Right. Not forcing your vision, but approaching it with curiosity.
Respect, too, and a willingness to learn from what you see.
It's not just finding a pretty scene or subject.
It's about engaging with it meaningfully.
That's where the real magic happens, I think.
When you connect with the heart of the story.
Beyond all the technical stuff.
Okay, so we've got the philosophy down.
Does Chu offer any practical tips, though?
For improving our photography, you mean?
Like tangible advice?
Oh, definitely. He sprinkles them throughout.
But always relating back to his philosophy.
Like in the chapter about hyperfocal point.
Hyperfocal point sounds complicated.
It is, a bit, but it's about maximizing sharpness in landscapes.
So if I'm trying to capture a whole vista,
Chu's got tips for making sure it's all in focus.
I'm listening.
He explains how focusing on a specific point
Can actually give you a greater depth of field.
makes the whole landscape crisp and clear.
Huh, that's cool.
It's how he blends practical stuff with a deeper understanding, you know?
I get it. Makes it more than just a how-to manual.
Exactly. And I loved the chapter on monopod.
What did he say about monopods?
It wasn't just about using one, it was a story. Chu felt left out of family photos.
Because he was always the one taking them.
Yep. But then he discovered the monopod.
And it let him be in the pictures, too.
Finally, part of the memories he was capturing.
That's really sweet, actually.
It shows how even simple tools can change our relationship with photography.
And that experimenting can lead to cool discoveries.
Speaking of which, Chu's not afraid of challenges.
Oh, so?
There's a chapter called Get This, Not Getting It is a Feedback.
Not getting it is a feedback, huh?
He encourages us to embrace those screw-ups.
When things don't go as planned,
That's refreshing, isn't it?
definitely in a world that's obsessed with perfection.
Chu reminds us that the process is important.
It's about learning from mistakes.
Trying new things, growing as photographers,
He even suggests keeping a journal.
not just for settings and stuff,
More for ideas, reflections, those aha moments.
but stuff that sparks future projects.
Hmm.
Being present in the journey, not just fixated on the end result.
Right, makes sense. But how does all this tie back to the changing world we talked about?
Yeah, how to choose ideas help us navigate all the challenges and opportunities of photography now.
That's a good question.
It's weird, isn't it?
What is?
Like, everyone's got a camera now. But actually connecting through photography, it feels harder somehow.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
And that's where I think Chu's ideas are so important now.
That sensibility, courage, and humility thing.
Exactly. We need that
To
sensibility
cut through the noise, all those images flying around.
and the courage to share our own vision, even if it's different.
Not easy with all the pressure to conform online.
And then that humility, remembering we're all still learning.
Nobody's got it all figured out, right?
It's like Chu's giving us a roadmap for this new world of images.
Reminding us that photography isn't just about looking, it's about creating.
Creating with
Open
intention.
purpose. Yeah.
And that purpose doesn't have to be this big, grand thing.
Could be capturing something beautiful that makes you happy.
Or documenting a family event, even.
Using photography to explore your own creativity.
But even in those simple things, Choo wants us to go deeper.
To find the meaning behind the image, the connection.
He wants us to ask, what am I trying to say here?
What emotions am I trying to get across?
How can I use my camera to connect with the world in a real way?
Powerful stuff.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, what really stood out to you?
Tough question.
Was there a chapter, an idea, a phrase even, that stuck with you?
I think what's so cool about this book is it makes you think differently about photography.
It's not just a list of techniques
It's more like exploring what photography is, what it can be.
and how it can change how we see things.
That part about sensibility, courage, and humility, that really got to me.
Me too. It's like those are important for life in general, not just taking pictures.
Exactly. It's refreshing to see a book that focuses on that inner journey.
It reminds us that the real tool isn't the camera. It's our own way of seeing things.
Our perspective, yeah.
And that's why I think this book's so valuable.
Doesn't matter if you're a beginner or a pro.
It's an invitation to explore your own creativity.
To push beyond the camera and capture your own vision.
So here's a question for you listening. What's one thing you'll try differently after hearing about this book?
Will you experiment with something new, maybe?
See the world from a different angle?
Or even try that visualizing thing, taking pictures in your mind first.
We'd love to hear your thoughts. Keep the conversation going.
Share your ideas online. Let's explore the possibilities together.
And remember, like Joe says, photography is about discovery and joy.
So go out there, experiment, have fun.
Capture the world through your own unique lens.